Now available in paperback and Kindle, All About Marilyn. Learn all about the struggles of a faded former teen sitcom star in this absolutely fabulous 5-star screenplay. Get All About Marilyn in paperback and Kindle on Amazon.com today.
Better get the cool slow, y'all, cause we're having us a barbecue.
One of my viewers wanted me to take a look at the 2009 movie Obsessed. Now, Obsessed is a movie that starred Idris, Elba, and Beyonce as a black urban professional couple who were living in California, and this couple is being tormented by a white woman played by Ali Larter. And after I watched the movie Obsessed on Tubi, I had to shake my head because while they advertised this movie as a thriller back in 2009, I found the movie that I watched on Scream to be unintentional comedy. And I found this movie to be unintentional comedy because it looked to go out here and try to make us believe that a white woman would be so obsessed with a black man that she would look to try to take him away from his wife, when that type of story only makes sense in the heads of racist and white supremacists. Now, Obsessed is a movie with a really shallow story that basically tries to use race to cover up for an extremely weak script that basically has a very weak plot and extremely on-the-nose dialogue, because as I was watching this film as a screenwriter, I was face-palming at these many scenes in this movie and at how badly written they were. And the sad part is that so many people basically just got caught up in their emotions about the idea of a white woman seducing a black man that they couldn't see that they were basically conned into watching a very terrible story that really had really weak writing compared to other thrillers like the legendary 1987 movie Fatal Attraction. Now, the movie Fatal Attraction does this much better because the characters there have some depth and complexity and basically have deep psychological motivations that show us why they're doing what they're doing. So as Dan Gallagher is having his affair with Alex, the editor in Fatal Attraction, we understand why Alex goes crazy, because she basically sees Dan Gallagher as her last chance because she's an older woman and she sees Dan having this success with his wife, Beth, who is played by Ann Archer, and basically sees her with a wife and a child, sees that family and wants that for herself, and sees the opportunity to take that from the woman Ann Archer's character Beth. That's what motivates her obsession, and that's what made Fatal Attraction one of the biggest box office hits of 1987. And when it comes to Obsessed basically just comes off like a really poor knockoff of the themes of Fatal Attraction, that just is extremely shallow, and because it's so shallow, what it does is look to try to cover up its shallow story by focusing us on race and not focusing us on the depth and complexity of the characters the way the Fatal Attraction movie did in '87. Now, Obsessed is the story of Derek Charles, a black man who works at a finance company, and as he's living with his wife, Sharon, in their brand new house with their 2-year-old son, he's at work and he meets a white female temp, Lisa Sheridan, and as he's friendly to her, she's thinking he's flirting with her, and basically as she's talking to him, she's coming up with a plan to seduce him. Now, this is where I had to basically shake my head at this story, because you have this young, beautiful blonde white woman who basically has a black man being nice to her as a temp, and you have this company filled with white men like a Jerry O'Connell character, and as she's in this company with all of these white men, you're telling me that this white woman is only going to fixate on the black man, and that's where I just found myself just looking at this movie and not believing it at all. And I didn't believe it at all because I know that when it comes down to white women are going to go for the white man first if they're in a place, and her going after this black man made no sense at all, but he's just there to move the story along and not be a rich, complex character. What the Derek Charles character basically is an ideal of what they call a good black man, and his character is completely nerfed and emasculated in this film. He's just there to again move the story along, but not have any sort of motivations of his own or any sort of psychology the way Michael Douglas's Dan Gallagher character did. No, when it came down to Dan Gallagher, he basically was in a marriage with a wife who already had a career and a child, and basically he was looking for a little something on the side because he was feeling neglected. So there was a motivation there, but when it comes to this film, they want Derek Charles to be this super good guy, and with him being this one-dimensional super good guy, he lacks any of the complexity as this film goes along. And with the Lisa character, she lacks any depth and complexity, and because of this, she's basically into this black man because he was nice to her, and that's another thing that made me facepalm. I mean, when it comes down to this white woman, there's no real motivation for her to go after this black man, and because there's no psychology to this white woman, basically she's there only looking to get with this black man primarily because of his race. That's the only reason why she's obsessed with him, as I see it, as related to this film, because they give her no sort of psychology to say that she has a reason to go after him. Now, I really don't see a white woman going after no black man. If you're a temp at a company and you're a young white woman, again, young white woman would be checking out all the young white guys like the Jerry O'Connell character, looking for that opportunity to get with that white guy because she basically is at the top of the social marketplace at this point. She wouldn't want to waste her time with no black man who's at the bottom of the social marketplace unless she had basically run out of options with white men. But that's not even presented in this story, the same way it wasn't presented in the 1979 movie Good Luck, Miss Wyckoff. Now, in the 1979 movie Good Luck, Miss Wyckoff, they presented this white female teacher, Evelyn Wyckoff, as this woman who basically had no boyfriend at 35 years old, no prospects for a boyfriend, and wanted to just use this as a reason to promote the idea of this black man being the one who would abuse her, as related to, again, the carnal relations they would have present in this movie and the abuse that this woman would suffer. They basically, again, wanted to see many of the racist fetishes that many white racists have as related to interracial relationships between black men and white women, and that's what's presented here in Obsessed. This is another repackaging of the same fetishes that they presented in the 1979 movie Good Luck, Miss Wyckoff, but it's presented in a way to try to make them look just that much more cleaner and more sanitized. And as they do this, they look to make this nerfed black man look like he's just extremely weak and emasculated, and basically make it where he's basically, again, scared of this white woman who is so obsessed with him and he's so loyal to his wife. And I looked at that and I just saw it as, again, them trying to say, oh, this white woman would do anything to be with a black man, because this is what the many racists believe. They believe that the reason why they don't want to hire black men at their office is because they think that the white woman will be so obsessed with that black man and the size of his privates that she will basically go and be caught up in her lust, and that lust will be the thing that makes her obsessed. That's what they were trying to hint at with this movie, but the whole thing is the motivations for the character just were not presented, because they know if they were to present those points, they would be seen for the racists that they were, and they would be seen as the racists that they were, because there would be no substance for her pursuing this man whatsoever. and no real motivation psychologically, just like in the movie Good Luck, Miss Wyckoff. Again, they had the scene with the black male character violating Miss Wyckoff, and I looked at that scene, and again, the motivation really wasn't there because a young black man who's going to college and has a scholarship and is doing well wouldn't even care about no 35-year-old woman who's left over, who basically they don't tell us that the white men, the reasons why the white men don't want her. Again, when you have a story with depth and complexity, we find that why the white men didn't want that white woman in Good Luck, Miss Wyckoff, but they didn't put that in there the same way they didn't do it here with the character of Lisa. They didn't put that there because what they wanted to do was sell you on the sensationalized idea of the white woman lusting after the black man and being so caught up in her lust that she becomes obsessed with this black man as related to the sexual fetish she has with him. And as this film goes on, the nerfed black man basically rejects the white woman's advances and she keeps coming after him. And as she comes after him, she eventually then quits her job so that she can continue pursuing him, then sends him emails, then again as he's going to a conference, she spikes his drink, then takes advantage of him, showing how weak this black man is, that he can't even protect himself. And then after Derek confronts her, after she violates him, I mean, they act like this man, again, she goes out here, puts roofies in his drink, violates this man, then goes out here, and then after this, Derek tries to tell her to stop, but then she goes out here and then comes into his room and then makes it like she's his wife, and then again takes pills to attempt to make it look like she's taking her life, and basically makes it like she's having this affair with him when it's just ridiculous all around. I mean, it was just completely ridiculous to me as the story went on. And then his wife Sharon finds out, and when Sharon finds out, she's believing that he's possibly having this affair, and then we watch as the Derek character winds up even more emasculated. We watch as he becomes emasculated even more because he's gone out here, he's got the job at the finance company, he's the one who bought the house, and he gets put out of his own house. I mean, this movie just presented one of the saddest images of black manhood and black masculinity. Yeah, he was a black urban professional, but he was basically a pussy, basically, again, in this movie. This guy had no backbone, no stones whatsoever, couldn't even stand up to any of the women in this movie, and that was the thing that grated my nerves as related to this film, how they basically presented this black man and presented him as an image of weakness. I mean, this character of Derek was just so soft and weak and just so emasculated that it was just sad to watch this black man, just sad to watch this black man be done like this. I mean, this white woman is supposed to be so obsessed with this black man, but this black man can't go out here and defend himself. This black man can't go out here and stand up for himself. This black man can't go out here and handle his business. I mean, I was just disappointed with this film because as the film went on, the only reason why Sharon believes Derek is because this white woman takes her child and puts him in the backseat of his car to try to scare her, and that's when she goes from being the wife who didn't believe her black husband to going into strong black woman mode. And as she goes into strong black woman mode, that's where Derek's story basically gets taken away from him and further emasculates him, because instead of Derek going out here and handling his business like a man, his wife got to come in and handle business as this woman breaks into their home and goes into their bedroom. And as she goes into the bedroom, that's where the Beyonce character of Sharon has the confrontation with the white woman, and she's going to go out here and again be the strong black woman who fights for her house, and fights instead of fighting, instead of the man standing up for himself, and again, just showing how weak the black man is. I mean, this was not a good image for black manhood or black masculinity in this film. I mean, it was just where it was all about showing a white person's fetishes as related to the black man, but then going further into the film, we start to see the black man being further emasculated, where he's shown as someone who has no power whatsoever as a man as related to handling his business. No, his wife got to come in and handle business as related to this film, and even they screw that up because the Beyonce character can't decide whether she want to save the life of the woman at the end or not. And again, we get this convenient plot point. Now, in Fatal Attraction, when it came down to Anne Archer's character, she handled business as related to this woman breaking it, Glenn Close's character of Alex breaking into her home. I remember at the end of that movie, basically Beth came in and took Alex out decisively. When she came into her home, she handled business like that. But with this film, they go out here and again show this black man being emasculated, and then show the black woman being hesitant, again showing the hierarchy of white supremacy. But when you look at this film, it's a pale comparison to Fatal Attraction. It's just, again, one-dimensional and tries to cover up its weak story with on-the-nose dialogue with race to try to cover it up. And if you get caught up in race, you don't really see how you've been played by a really bad story. That's what you really don't see as related to this story. I mean, this story was done much better in the movie Fatal Attraction, where we see the nuance and psychology of, again, a desperate woman and her obsession with her final chance at a man. That's what we saw in Fatal Attraction, but with this movie, Obsessed, we just see how racist obsessions basically lead to them making a bad film that is supposed to be a thriller, but just comes across as bad comedy. Now, if you want to go out here and check out how I write stories on the SJS Direct imprint, you can check out my screenplay book all about Marilyn to read a much better screenplay than what was presented in this film. Or if you want to check out my TV scripts, you can check out my book all about Nikki's fabulous first season. Both of those books are on Amazon.com, along with the books of the SJS Direct universe, and you can find all of those books, again, in paperback and Kindle format at Amazon.com and other online booksellers. Now, this was a video requested by one of my viewers, and if you want to request a video, you can drop a donation for a minimum of $20 to the PayPal or the Cash App by clicking the link in the description box, and if I know something about that subject, I'll make that video for you. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback at e-readers, Isis, Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Dark Incubus in paperback and e-readers today. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Esteem Horror in the Hamptons. The aspiring angel tries to escape a house of horrors in this action-packed, all-new Esteem series adventure. Get your copy of Esteem Horror in the Hamptons in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.